morning, everyone. I hope today you've woken up and shaken yourself loose. Psalm 138, verse 2 says, I will worship toward your holy temple and praise your name for your loving kindness and your truth, for you have magnified your word above all your name. Let me read that again. I will worship toward your holy temple and praise your name for your loving kindness and your truth. For you have magnified your word above all your name. Wow. I will worship towards your holy temple and praise. Where's God's holy temple? That which He has given us. This is God's holy temple. You live in a God's holy temple. I know that here we are talking about a building because it's Psalms. And we are talking about a building and a place where the Jews used to go to find God. They thought they could house Him in a brick and mortar place. He was in the Holy of Holies, where only once a year did the high priest go into, light the candles or clean up, or the Holy of Holies. That's where God resided. Somewhere far, if you were a farmer, you didn't live in Jerusalem. You lived on the outskirts, and often you could just go for the Passover festival. You couldn't always be there. So you would go in once a year on Yom Kippur, or just once a year go and offer offerings. A time where people couldn't go to church like we know it all the time. The fathers were the priests of the household and would train their children, or if they lived in a village, there was a synagogue and a rabbi, and they would train their children. But going to this place was kind of getting in touch with God and connecting for a very short time. And so this distance from God was so ingrained in them, although they saw Him all around them. They had this distance. There's a place, and it's not here. And then Jesus came along and said, hang on, actually, there's no distance. And He had this awesome thing that He did for us. He died on the cross for us. And he took our sin. He was sinless, and He became sin. And He became that lamb for us. And then he worked, but even before He went to the cross, He worked on changing our mindset, His people's mindset around what is actually happening. There's not just this city on a hill. There's not just this temple on a Temple Mount, which is now broken and gone. That temple does not exist anymore, but this temple, your temple, does exist. And it is where He wants to be. To rebuild the temple in Jerusalem would be a wonderful thing to go and visit, but this temple is the most valuable place because it is continuous. It is always. It's infinite. It's not defined or finite. I just find that so very encouraging in my life, because I don't have to, and I think lockdown time and this pandemic and that kind of thing has shaken us to the core, where we've realized that our churches are important. Look, we are a community of saints, and to work with your community is to be in contact with your community. But my husband, our family, hasn't been back to church yet. Not from fear, and a little bit from fear, but from being cautious around not playing with the coronavirus. It's not necessary. Our church, fortunately, has given us all the wonderful opportunities to still be a part of the services on a Sunday through technology, and we are so happy for that. But the moment you figure out that in here is where the temple is, this is the temple. You don't have to go somewhere to have a temple, to have this experience of connecting with God. There is something powerful about being in a group that are connecting with God. I mean, you can't argue with that. But it's not necessary. You do not lose God. You lose community that way, yes. But you do not lose God. So I want to encourage you, if you haven't come back, and if you haven't gone to church, and if you haven't, just look at yourself and be that place where you meet with the Holy Spirit. You be that place. Don't make that place something that is far away from you. And then when you go back to your building, to your church, to your community, you actually bring something valuable for them. Somebody who knows that they need God and they choose to have community. I hope this helps. I hope you are encouraged. I hope you understand the omnipresence of God is through you also. You are part of that. Because when you say yes to Christ, the Spirit of God enlightens in you and makes His presence around you, or her presence around you. Doesn't matter. Holy Spirit is very tangible. And start making yourself aware of that. I'm going to do a little bit more. I hope you can. Have a wonderful day, and we'll speak again tomorrow.